Now, as we have already reviewed, as we complete a step, step one now has already been locked, so I can't go in as a user and continue working in step one, but step two is now open and available for me to begin inputting my revenue and cost of sales information into the application. Now, the first thing that we may want to do is take a look at any policies and procedures that have been attached to the application for our benefit. So I can come into this particular step, and this is going to open for us a Word document that happens to just have some policies and procedures. First couple of pages happen to be calendar related, so I can see when everything is due. And then there's some guidance around revenue, expense planning, that type of thing. So again, the idea here is that any type of document that you have that provides supplemental information for the budgeting process or for any other process can be attached to the application and then reviewed as part of the business process flow. So the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and enter some units and rates. And you may remember this view from the overview demo that we took a look at a little bit earlier, where we could come out and actually begin to submit some information to the application. So as you see here, I have a list of all of the different product lines that are available. And had we added a new product line prior to beginning this budget demo, we would have seen that in the template just like we saw in the overview demo. Now, what we're going to do is just focus on this X300 sedan so that we can kind of follow the information because there's currently no data input. And this is a driver-based example, just like we saw in the forecasting. So the first page we're looking at here is profit after direct costs. So we're going to need to input some units information and some rates information. And again, in our case, units is the driver, but we have customers that do a lot of driver-based planning using a whole host of other things like headcount, square footage, those types of things can be used to help drive different costs and different line items in the budgeting component. So here's my units where I'm going to input the units. And again, if we don't know exactly what the unit forecast for this particular product is going to look like, we can always utilize our spreading, trending, or weighting capability. So let's say I expect to sell 550 units over the course of the next 12 months. And I think the seasonality is going to be pretty similar to the X100. So I'm going to go ahead and input that. And as you'll notice, that's going to create my unit forecast for me. Then I want to take a look at the rates. So here I can see all the different accounts that are going to be calculated based on the number of units. So for every unit of the X100 we sell in January, we're planning to get about 29,000 in revenue. So I may want to just assume that the cost structure and the revenue, the pricing is similar for the X300 to the X100, and I can simply just paste those rates right into from below. Again, remember, we are running full Excel. Let me go ahead and submit this information to the application. So anything that users know how to do in Excel today, which could include things like copying, pasting, putting in formulas, linking to other analysis they may have sitting in Excel somewhere else. They have all of that flexibility right within the application. So again, Outlook Soft is not taking anything away from Excel, but it is allowing you to provide some control and some consistency around the process. Again, as we submit data to the application, we have a variety of things occurring. We have currency translation. We have some different types of business rules being defined, and we'll take a look at the results of some of those things in just a moment. Now, the key thing with Outlook Soft that's very different from other vendors in the space is the real-time nature of the application. So what that means is as users come in and input information, we can immediately come out and see the result. So here I can see profit after direct costs has already been calculated for the X300. So now we're going to go back to the business process flow. And at this point, we want to take a look at the version comparison report, which we're going to continue coming back to today as we take a look at some of the different things that we adjust as part of the budget. So we'll go ahead and open that version comparison. Again, same thing that we took a look at a little bit earlier. And as you can see, as a result of making some of those changes to the information, my budget version 2 is now different from budget version 1. You'll also notice that the balance sheet and the cash flow is automatically updating based on the information that we have changed. So I'm seeing the changes to revenue, to units, flow all the way through the income statement, all the way through the balance sheet, and all the way through the cash flow. So these are no longer disconnected where we have to be sure that the balance sheet ties um, to the cash flow and ties to the income statement, all those kind of things. All of that's automated now as part of the process. So we're going to go ahead and go back to the business process flow. And we'll just complete our revenue cost of sales. So we're finished at this point with that information. Go ahead and complete that. Again, that's going to lock step 2 and open step 3, our HR budget, for us to be able to review.